Welcome to Growing Vlogger ng Kuwait. Hello everyone, good morning. Me and my group mates Gabriel, Ryan, Fahad, Angel, and Halim will be presenting a topic about communication vis-a-vis mass communication. Let's start off with a texting phenomenon to illustrate how communication are affected by media and information. When you send a text message to another person, you are using the cell phone as a means of communication. Your message sent through the cell phone is transmitted by the signals provided by the mobile phone company and lands to the intended receiver's cell phone. It is a form of mediated interpersonal communication assisted by the technology provided by cell phones. However, as attested by the EDSA-2 phenomenon, cell phone technology was significantly used to topple the government, as illustrated in the article of Vicente Rafael of the Cell Phone and the Crowd, Messianic Politics in Contemporary Philippines. The phenomenon started out quite easily. On January 16, 2000, a text message landed on someone's phone, enthusiastically calling out concerned citizens to mass up at EDSA's shrine after 11 senators voted to block the opening of a sealed envelope that contains the evidence of President Estrada's corruption and hidden wealth. That text message could have borne the words "Full mobilization today at EDSA" and "Go to EDSA, wear black, bring your friends." By 8 p.m., around 20,000 people had already gathered up at the EDSA shrine, and the days that followed saw even more people, not just from Metro Manila, but from the nearby provinces as well. According to McQuail 1969, mass communication comprised the institutions and techniques by which specialized groups employed technological devices such as press, radio, film, and any other devices you can think of to disseminate symbolic content to large, heterogeneous, and widely dispersed audience. McQuail's definition signals us to two basic concepts which cue us to defining features of mass communication. The first one is technological devices, and second, the magnitude and scope of its audience.
So, is the EDSI-2 event propelled by texting, as Raphael contends, a form of mass communication, or is it just a more complex illustration of mediated interpersonal communication? These two forms of communication are pretty much interrelated. Technology brings symbolic and complex messages to large, heterogeneous, and widely dispersed audiences. The example above illustrates that sometimes mediated interpersonal communication resembles mass communication in its ability to reach large numbers of people. The texting phenomenon that toppled a president happened because people were connected through their cell phones, and the rate of connection increased exponentially. One text message was forwarded to probably 5 to 10 or perhaps even more people all over the Philippines. Imagine how the numbers multiplied exponentially. It reached such a number that it translated into warm bodies in EDSA.
In this case, the similarity between interpersonal communication and mass communication is the ability of both to reach huge numbers of recipients or audience. However, the difference also becomes apparent. The most important differences relate to these three elements. 1. The sources of the message. 2. The process of transmittal. And 3. The way feedback is generated and sent. For instance, your friend Sandy is the president of a broad coalition of advocates for good governance. He has been relentlessly engaging in various sectors of society to expose corruption in the government. He comes to your house to tell you that plans of massing up at the EDSA shrine are now in place, and many like-minded organizations are supporting this move. He visits to your house so you can have a face-to-face communication. This is interpersonal communication. Suppose he is unable to drop by your house and instead sends you a text message. This is mediated interpersonal conversation. Since he is a leader of an organization, his associates find it appropriate to record in video camera short spiel where he makes appeal to his friends from all over the city to come and join the rally at EDSA. The video message lands in your email. This is a fine example of mediated organizational communication.
However, it is highly possible that your friend Sandy is invited to a talk show so he can inform the public of his call to a rally at the EDSA shrine. Here's where you encounter his appeal that is persuasive enough to get you and your friends to pick up your bags and head to the Edsa Shrine. The three levels of communication mentioned above achieve the same purpose, albeit in rather different ways and through different channels. The last one, the opportunity for Sandy to be guest in a talk show, uses a media organization that is fast, complex, and highly structured. This is where the difference lies. To get Sandy as guest entailed a series of processes. A production meeting for the week's episodes generated a series of actions that allowed network executives to determine the priority issues of that day. They have probably thought that the call for a president's ouster is imminent, and that the coalition representing this call is proud enough and deserves to be heard by the public viewing. Zanti is contacted by the network executives and is adequately oriented on the nature of the program and the questions that may be asked by the panelists. It is also likely that Sandy was provided some tips on how to convey his message and how to avoid certain words that may seem politically unappealing to the board of censors or even to the advertisers. In a way, these institutions that are external to the broadcast networks have stakes in the programs that are aired.
Interpersonal communication is as much as it is mediated by technology appears to be limited in each research. Mass communication, however, is able to reach huge audience at the same time. Mediate interpersonal communication too appears like messages created by individuals or perhaps teams, while mass communication is created by a huge, mostly powerful and executive organizations. In example, we have cited earlier the huge number of Filipinos who gathered at the EDSA shrine in a mass action that showed popular sentiments against the equally populist president was a combination of both mediate and interpersonal communication and the reach of mass communication. While the first one is involved crafting of messages by an individual, the second one is involving a media organization that has a capacity to command a huge viewership.
A telephone conversation between the President of the Philippines and his Chief of Staff qualifies as interpersonal communication. But the President and his Chief of Staff appearing before national television to communicate a call or rally the people to action would then constitute mass communication. The involvement of huge and expansive organizations is essential to the idea of mass communication. Mass communication is carried out by organizations which are part of a bigger assembly or network of institutions that form an industry. Like the manufacture of products in a factory assembly line, they produce media in an industrialized setting involving a remarkable size of worker with specialized knowledge, machinery, technology, and channels for the distribution of dissemination of knowledge. To illustrate further, let us turn the diagram into the succeeding page. Let us imagine a scenario where Sandy uses both mediated interpersonal communication and mass communication to communicate his call for people to rally at the EDSA shrine and move for the ouster of a president.
Oh hey, you made it all the way! Thank you guys for watching the video and I hope you learned something new. Bye bye!